Oh, hey there, Delco. We've got a sweet little episode for you today with RC's Tattoo. Is that the official name of your business, RC's Tattoo, or is it Tattoo Parlor?
RC is the official name.
Okay. And you are RC.
I
It's
am
not your
RC.
birth name or initials.
Yes, I am RC.
Where'd that come from?
I'm RC's.
Okay. So it's a nickname that I've had for years, and people used to say, "What does RC stand for?" And I would tell them, "Truth, Justice, and the American Way," just like Superman. And but they don't laugh. I laugh, and I keep it to myself. And
Okay.
people still ask. And,
I
and
love
people
it.
do know, and we'll see how this show goes. Maybe I will
Okay.
divulge it.
Oh, I
by the
love
end,
it.
or-
This is already, we are 30 seconds into it, but I can tell you the 5 minutes pre-show has already been one of my favorite times talking to human beings between RC and April. April, you work there?
Yes.
Okay. And you're both artists right now?
Yes.
Okay. Just tattoo artists? You do the piercings or anything, or?
We're painters too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
I
rad.
figured that. Yeah, that makes
3D
sense.
art, 2D
Yeah.
art. We're
Listen. Anybody who does art, I like.
yeah.
I'm always wowed by because I'm terrible at everything. Yeah, terrible at everything. So yeah, I just think art is like one of the coolest things in the world. And when I meet people who can do, especially the tattoos, because not many people have canvases that move
Yeah.
or are sometimes blubbery or things like that. So,
Or can get infected.
or can get infected. Yeah,
That's a thing.
Yeah, that's-
Yeah.
I definitely had one infected tattoo before.
all those jailhouse tattoos you got.
Dude, a broken pen and a staple, man.
But
That's
actually-
all you got.
The funny thing is, we finally have you on here. The reason me and Holbrook actually met to do a lot of this stuff was one of the main reasons. I saw a social media post. He had the coolest tattoo. I said, I want to work with this guy. And his tattoo is literally, because I asked him, it says, I Heart Mom, but it's I Heart Nachos.
It's the heart that has like
Yeah.
the little wrap that says mom in it. I wrote nachos in it.
And I go, and he's on my
Yeah.
first show, and I brought him in, and I said, dude, tell me about the tattoo. I mean, is this just a fat guy joke or something? He goes, yeah, but not really. He goes, listen, I may not like my mom one day. I might not like my dad one day, but I will always love nachos.
It's true.
And I'm
That's
like,
great.
that is the most genius, profound thing I've heard. You're hired.
And the font underneath it, we were supposed to write like your wife's name or when they lived or died. I just wrote Lansdowne, PA.
That's Delco.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
is a
And
boundary.
it was sadly not sadly. It was different, but it was at your rival Studio One where I got it when I was
Nobody's my
18.
rival.
Gotcha.
When
And
you're the best, right?
And I remember I was sober. I was just turned 18. I remember asking the tattoo artist, I'm
There
like,
it was a small weekend where he was sober at that time. So.
yeah, it was right
It was
after
like this,
work.
like little small notch in history.
I was working.
Yeah.
I was working overnight at the time, so it was between getting done work and the bar opening. And yes, I was 18, so there are certain bars, Rick's, that would serve you at that age.
Yeah. Now a vacant building.
Yeah, but I remember like going, I'm like, do you think this is
Holbrook
this-
or Rick's? Just want to make sure.
Rick's,
Rick's,
of course.
Gotcha.
I remember
Located right behind Relish.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll talk about that in a minute. I remember
That's my boy.
when I showed him the Lansdowne Heart Nacho tattoo. I was like, do you think this is a stupid idea? And the tattoo artist goes, nah, brother, I think it's great, and points to his ring finger and it says UFD. I'm like, what is that? And he goes, Upper fucking Darby. I'm like, all right, I got the right guy for this. When did RC's open?
So this particular RC's, I bought that building in 1995.
Okay.
I had originally tried to open in Morton, and a very interesting story.
Tell us.
came to play there. So there's an old saying: if you aim for the ground, you'll always hit dirt. And I was
I've always heard just about if you aim at the sky, you might hit the stars or something. You're saying aim at the ground, you'll hit dirt.
you'll
Okay.
always hit dirt.
Okay.
So I aimed at the ground. I tried opening Morton, and so 3 doors in from Eagle check cashing place was this.
You're skipping where you were before that.
Yeah, I was gonna say like
well,
Where
we,
did
we
you
can get to that.
start?
Yeah, well, RC's the wow. All right, so let's go back to Broad and Tasker in 1983,
South Philly.
82. My old partner Johnny Chance and his father came to town because Dominic Chance was a tattooer since the early 40s,
Okay.
like 1940, and
like for
taught like
World
this,
War II veterans
yeah,
getting
this
the anchors
dude
and
like
shit on the
taught
arm.
Philadelphia Eddie how to tattoo. Okay, and so him and Eddie had a rivalry that went on for decades. Okay, like this one would open a shop up in North Carolina, then Eddie came to town and opened up a shop in North Carolina. He came to Philadelphia. Long story short, he came to Philadelphia and opened up a shop to piss off Eddie because it was like the 10th time they've done it to each
Spite
other.
move.
Spite move.
Most
Totally.
of our best ideas come from spite around here, so we already like this.
Like
Spite-
Tom's Dim Sum and Dim Sum Mania.
Yeah.
It's a spite.
Total spite
Wawa,
thing.
Royal Farms,
Oh,
Rite Aid, Walgreens. They got to open the same intersection.
McDonald's.
Burger King's got to be
King.
right next to it.
Okay, and I don't think they do that anymore.
Yeah,
The-
Burger
the
King
amount
kind of
diarrhea.
alienated
drugstores
itself
do.
greatly, and I don't know what happened to 7-Eleven, but I think they're still in California. So anyway, the rivalry was going on. For some reason, it flared itself back up, and they came to Philadelphia, and I was tattooing in Upper fucking Darby.
UFD.
I literally was a house hopper. I was a guy that had tattoo equipment in a box and went different places, and was living a kind of bohemian lifestyle. I just had a motorcycle and tattoo stuff and a stripper, and that was my financial
That's the greatest
income.
sentence
It's like high school all over.
That's the
It-
greatest fucking
Yeah,
sentence.
listen, I went from high school
Yeah.
to that, and so I traveled around up and down the East Coast. And if you weren't tattooing, you had a girl making you money at the strip club. And of course, I don't advise this
You're
to
a
anybody.
god.
It was that was then. This is now.
Yeah.
So in my way of finding the righteousness of life, you have a lot of peaks and valleys.
How's the tax write-offs work on that?
Yeah, I nobody ever paid me with check.
Her edible underwear is a write-off. Easily.
Yeah, her
Government
syphilis
don't know
shot,
about most of these things, I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm getting distracted here. So they come to town, and I was 2 years into figuring things out on my own because my first tattoo experience took place at a place called Doberman Tattoo in Glassboro, New Jersey.
Okay.
I went there with a couple guys I knew. They were pretty tough, and we knock on the door, nobody's there. So we end up letting ourselves into this place. And the one guy with me was a tattooer, had tattooed. And he says, "Come on, sit down. I'll teach you how to tattoo me." So I'm tattooing this guy. And the owner comes through the door. And he says, "What the fuck is going on?" And my buddy stand up and said, "I'll tell you what's going on." Bang! And hits this guy and knocks him out. And I just kept tattooing. So that's how I got into the business. Okay. This was the
It's a lot
beginning.
easier to tattoo when he's unconscious. Just gotta say.
So apparently my friend had a beef with this dude, unbeknownst to me. And I was just happy to be doing a tattoo. And things progressed from there. It started with a bang. And,
Literally
yeah.
and figuratively.
So you had taught yourself, you were
I
freelance,
was
didn't
freelancing,
have
I had a very little. That was my formal training, by the way.
the punch in the face of Glassboro, New Jersey.
That was
So
awesome.
is there tattoo schooling? Like barber
There,
school and all that?
yeah, there's people that try and teach, but I mean, the bottom line is, it doesn't really work.
Okay.
You
So
have
there's like
to.
not an official school you go to for tattoo
The
artistry?
best way to do it is to actually have some kind of artistic ability. Number one,
Oh, check
I
that
s-
off the box.
yeah.
I'm screwed.
very strong
Okay.
desire to want to be a tattoo artist,
Yeah.
and you get adopted by a studio that will take you on as an apprentice, where you learn. It's like if you want to be a plumber, you start out as an apprentice, then you get a journeyman, and then you become a master. And it's
Yeah,
the
but as a
same
plumber,
way.
you can't tattoo a dick across the back of somebody's head either, so you don't have that. You don't
Well,
have
I don't know
cool-
about that.
You don't have that cool option right now.
When you
Yeah.
bring in the apprentices to start out with, I mean, sometimes I'm sure you recruit full-fledged accomplished artists and all that stuff, right? Or do you only bring in apprentices?
So all of my best employees have been people that I've trained.
Started out, and they come in with a portfolio that they have been doing themselves beforehand, or do you teach them from like day one?
I will sit you down if I like you and hand you a pencil and a paper
Yeah.
and say, "Draw that for me."
So I'm already
That's
off that box. Most people don't like me, so I'm like, I'm all right.
What was before we get into like the real couch questions, like from a therapist, of like how you really got into it? What was the first tattoo you actually gave?
Coloring in that red caveman on the guy's shoulder.
Really?
Yeah.
It was a caveman?
It was a caveman.
Okay. Come out well? The dude still got it?
He was dead.
Oh, but he still had it. He didn't like lose his arm
Some
going into
some
it?
about
No.
infection from
No.
a tattoo. I don't know. I was kidding.
No, he actually died about 2 months later. 3 months.
Not from an
tops.
infection, right?
No,
Okay.
no,
That's
okay.
good.
No. Delco death. Delco death.
Fentanyl? The H.
Prior fentanyl, dude. This is Yeah, fentanyl
Loots.
did not. I don't even.
Yeah, I was say fentanyl does seem like a newer
Wuhan had
thing.
not even created fentanyl yet.
Yeah.
They were still working on the China virus. Actually, the people who invented all this stuff probably weren't even alive then. Someday I will grow up and ruin the world from China.
Yeah. I
But,
always think I'm like, what animals are they stacking on top of each other right now that are gonna hurt us soon?
Yeah.
Last time this is the Super Bowl matchup and an election year, dude. The shit broke out. Still got plenty of time.
Oh shit, you're right.
Yeah.
forgot
I haven't
about
heard
that.
anyone coughing in Seattle yet, but you never know.
Well, I strongly suspect that we will all have some fresh new COVID type 3 by the time election comes because you got to get the mail-in ballots.
Of course.
RSV. That's
There,
Yeah.
yeah.
around.
Yeah, right now there's everything that could affect your lungs, but
Like the
yeah.
flu's, like the super flu now. Like it's
Yeah.
like that's the thing too now. Like
Super flu?
it's like they're pretty much like they can't. COVID's not around anymore, but everybody's been getting the flu a lot more. Like flu is up.
Yeah. It's got a little cape
Yeah.
that goes through the
Yeah.
air.
Super flu. Because they probably weren't dying in it. They were probably calling it something else for the last couple of years.
Yeah, why not?
It's kind of like the whole thing where like, oh, cancer only came around after the industrial complex. I'm like, or the industrial revolution. I'm like, they might have just been calling it bad blood and throwing
Yeah.
leeches on it
Or
before that.
bubonic plague.
Yeah, they just didn't know what it was called. April, what was the first tattoo you gave?
Someone's pit bull. It was a dog that passed away.
That's pressure to
That's
have like
pretty
a
cool.
portrait kind of
Yeah.
situation going on for your first one.
You throw them in the water and see if they swim.
Gotcha.
And she swam.
Hell yeah. Did
The
you
dog
start,
or April?
The dog paddled.
The
So-
dog paddle.
was- yeah.
Okay.
did you start as an apprentice at RC's?
I did an apprenticeship when I was 19, but it was cut short.
Because of
The guy was a bad businessman.
understood.
Other Delco
Yes,
problems.
Delco problems.
Delco problems.
How long you been in RC's?
4 years.
4 years? Okay. And you are you from Delco?
I am. I'm from Aston originally.
Oh.
I moved to media when I was 10.
Aston will rise
Yeah,
again.
yeah. Or my favorite slogan is Aston to mouth.
Aston the mouth. Were you from like full fledged Aston or Lenai?
No, Aston.
Okay.
Yeah. Like-
Aston.
It's,
Like
no, you gotta
the
say it.
rich
So it's
kid.
Aston.
Yeah.
It's the Alabama of Delco, Aston.
So you were media, were you at Pencrest or
Yes, I graduated.
and did you know you wanted to like get into tattooing? When you were there?
Not yet. I actually went to Moore College of Art and Design and
Oh, yeah.
graduated with a bachelor's degree with
Damn.
welding and silversmithing.
My lord.
Yeah.
So you're really multi-talented and awesome. The rest of us suck. So thanks.
I can't
Thanks.
do math.
Thanks, that's
Yeah.
April. I can do
I'm
math.
not good
I
at
can do
math.
math. You know.
So I
can do
got a
math.
calculator. Okay.
Yeah.
They actually do like it like at Moore, one of the focuses is like welding and metal sculpting. That's so
Yeah,
rad.
it's a
Oh, I thought
very
you were gonna say
small
mathematics.
School. It's an all-girls school, so
Yeah.
it was,
I mean, Holbrook can kick your
It's
shoes
it's
off.
like catty corner of the Franklin Institute. Yeah, because I used to work right around the corner from there and walk by it all the time. Small school, like yeah. You ever go to the piano bar right there?
yes.
Okay,
I
yeah.
did a ton of drawing in high school and middle school, and I had a dog fight incident. I lost my hand that I have still. But
Wait,
it
what?
was-
Wait,
yeah,
wait,
You have to
so
look
I
closely.
started doing ceramics and stuff.
Oh
to
yeah. There's
help with like therapy with my hand.
Wow.
So that's how I got into more was from ceramics.
So you're awesome on top of it. Thanks, April. We all feel bad about ourselves now. It's
Yeah.
awesome. Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm fat.
wow.
That's
Yeah.
it. That's all I got.
So when
That's
I was
wild.
17 years old, I wandered in the RC studio.
Okay.
That's
Heard that
it.
story a
And
lot.
if you're wondering, like in the nicest way possible, she's older than you think. Like she's Al's age, and Al literally looks decrepit.
Looks my
right
age.
now. Yeah.
Al looks my age.
I am the
Yeah.
oldest looking guy in the room right now.
And RC
At
is
41, I've aged not great.
RC looks incredible for his age. April, incredible for her age. Al,
I
terrible,
am just, I should be dead.
Yeah.
I
terrible for a ghost.
I feel like a dog on the train tracks right about now.
Yeah.
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 Oh,
and for
choo-choo.
$40, we can.
Yeah. Oh, choo choo.
What do you use the bathroom?
So
Why can't my fat finger get through this damn
yeah,
trigger guard?
like those diabetes swollen fingers can pull a trigger out.
I can't feel my fingers.
Trust me, no matter what. No belts are holding that neck either.
Yeah.
And also what neck?
There's no supports in this room. That are gonna handle this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last time I got hit by a car, the car took more damage. So,
So this is already a fun story when you break it down. So 17 years old, you get attacked by a dog.
No,
No, that was when she was 14.
I was like
Oh.
13 or 14 when that happened,
You
but I
can-
went to art college and I stayed a block away from the studio, so I wandered in there. I stayed with my aunt so I could take the Morton train to the city.
That's awesome. And you've only been at RC's for 4 years, you're saying.
Yeah.
But
So there was a lapse of time between
Okay.
when
I
she
got
came
married,
in and
had
got
a
to know
kid,
us.
Gotcha, did other things.
separated, and then he showed up at my doorstep.
Okay.
Oh, you're separated? Hi, it's me again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I was looking
So
to
you're
get
saying
divorced,
there's a
and she was a
chance.
wonderful reason for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah. Yeah.
So did you find it fitting that you? No, that's so weird. No, it was completely PG where I was going. Did you find it ironic and fitting that you got into ceramics and into art because a dog attacked you, and your first tattoo you gave was of a dog? Was it?
It was
So
therapeutic,
yes.
I was always an artist. When I was a little kid, my dad would sit me while he was getting ready for work, sit me down and do the crayons and stuff in the morning. So I've always been an artist, but I couldn't draw as much. So I went to school for ceramics
Right.
to start, and then worked up from there.
The so first one was a dog. Who was it? Who was it to? Was it a paying person or?
No, it was a friend.
Of course.
Yeah. Most first tattoos or freebies.
Yeah.
And
I
then
think she tipped me $20.
yeah.
That's not-
Yep. And we bought dog treats.
Here's a tip, $20.
Yeah.
There's $20 for the 3 hours worth of 4 hours worth of work.
Yeah.
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 A lot of work.
I'm just gonna bring it up. We were talking beforehand. There was a thing about taxidermy beforehand. What looked better, your first tattoo of a dog or the thing you paid $40
I have it on my
for after
phone.
the railway
She-
incident?
So I never actually saw the completed structure.
Okay.
Okay, but I'm told it looks wonderful.
Yeah. The best lamp he has in his house. Really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. It was. They said it was a very lengthy process.
I believe it. I think just taxidermy itself is a wild art.
Yeah.
Did Moore teach taxidermy?
No, but I did take a taxidermy class.
Oh shit, where
Yeah,
at?
I did small rabbit.
Did
Okay.
did
Yeah.
every guy who taught in that wear like rounded glasses, be like ultra pale, and you didn't want to see in a dark alley?
Was
ever?
the word Dahmer-esque
Yeah.
said a lot?
No, it was actually at an antiques and oddities shop. They had taxidermy.
So
like
Ted
oddities.
Bundy-esque.
Yeah.
He's really big. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying, like,
Oddities.
I just feel like if you said, "What do you do for a living?" Taxidermy. Oh,
Yeah.
so never be in your house by yourself with you. Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's kinda like an
It's a room
editing.
clearer sometimes.
Yeah.
Speaking of
Yeah.
taxidermy, Fat Cow Jerky. Guys, check out fatcowjerky.com, Facebook, Instagram. Utterly perfect jerky. Jalapeno garlic, honey habanero, teriyaki pickle, one of my favorite flavors. Check it out. Fatcowjerky.com. And
Modern Jerky Magazine said they were Dahmer-esque.
they were Dahmer-esque. And you can find treats for your four-legged friends at Fat
Dead
Cow
or alive.
Dead or alive, they will feed you. Get injured at work, motor vehicle accidents, personal injury, criminal law. David Archerry is the man with the plan to help you out in those tough moments in life.
You taxidermy the wrong species, you know.
Yeah, it happens to the best of us. 610-565-0300. Go to cherryinjurylaw.com. And if you taxidermy the wrong species, you're looking for a good time to get away from it all, I go to Dolan's Bar.
You know who learned their Delco accent there? Evan Peters, who played Jeffrey Dahmer.
That is absolutely correct. I taught him a word there. We'll talk about that later.
Wow.
24 East Sellers Avenue in Ridley Park in the 19078 DolansBar.com. Quiz on music, great times, memorabilia, great food. You never know who's going to walk into the door there because some famous people have. So check it out. Go to DolansBar.com or go to Dolan's Bar right now, 24 East Sellers Avenue in Ridley Park.
I love how they spelled memorabilia.
I'm completely wrong.
That's
Memorabilia.
it's not them. You're looking at it wrong and has not fixed it.
So the funny part is, I pointed out the first time, never change it because I just want it up there.
Commit
Yeah.
to it.
I commit to the
Commitment,
failure.
yeah.
Listen, my life is committing to failure, so I just keep going with it.
Like you
As an artist, my eye is drawn to crooked pictures, misspelled things.
oh my god, wait.
Is that why you haven't been able to look away from Holbrook yet at all?
No, I'm trying to.
I'm very symmetrical in my
Yeah.
odd shapes.
You
You are very shaped.
I actually could be sitting here and looking at him up there, and then I feel like I was sitting over there because I was sitting over there watching him look at himself the whole time, and I was like, "This guy, there
He's
must be
touching
something up
himself.
there." Now I realize it's him.
Yeah.
I
But
used to
that's a
have
good thing. Well, I could just look at you here.
If you want to see off kilter lines, Al made a commercial for a real estate company that used to be our sponsor, and like it hurts me. And
I know.
It must have hurt
yeah.
them as they used to be a sponsor.
Yeah.
Yeah, the spectral twist on him got a little crazy.
Yes. Okay, so we got completely off. So it was a tattoo
There's the
rivalry.
Yeah, there was a guy that got punched in the face in Deptford, New Jersey. And
Yeah.
now we're into dogs.
Get back
There
there.
was a nationwide tattoo spiting event that spilled over to Broad and Tasker.
Yes,
You
it did.
were tattooing freelance and running amok, being the IRS's worst nightmare up and down the East Coast. And you, I'm assuming, got connected to one of the ones in Broad and Tasker.
At Broad and Tasker, John Chance, who became my tattoo mentor. His father had been tattooing at that time, let's say 40 some years. And Johnny had been tattooing at least 15 years at that point in time. And they were new to town and kind of needed some muscle. And I was involved with some people and we were the muscle. So I got involved with them and then we became partners and we had a shop there. And then that moved to 624 South 3rd Street, right off in between Bainbridge and South Street.
Yeah.
Mhm.
On 3rd, we were down there for
Near
3
the
years.
old Mako's and all that.
Oh yeah,
Fucking
yeah.
Mako's one of my favorite places in the world.
yep.
I miss it.
Well, Mako's wasn't there yet.
Okay.
This is pre-Mako's, but Dobbs was there.
I love
O'Neill's
Dobbs.
was there. We had a place across the street. It was a lesbian bar called Judy's, who despised us.
I am
Why,
the
I don't
ugliest
know.
lesbian you'll ever meet.
They never got along with us. But and they didn't. And town didn't want us. Queens Village didn't want us there at all. And then I left because we left, and Philadelphia Eddie opened up there, and then Body Graphics opened up there, and some other guys. And now it's like Tattoo Row.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. I remember when I turned like 18, it was a lot of tattoo bars and sex
Yeah.
shops.
Yeah, a
Yes.
lot of
Condom
Yes.
Kingdom, the Pleasure Dome, not the Pleasure
Yeah.
Dome.
Condom
Pleasure
Kingdom
Palace,
is
isn't it?
so
Yeah.
sad
Yeah.
if you go there now.
Yeah.
Condom Kingdom.
Yeah, it's so sad.
Because no one uses condoms anymore. Everyone
Yeah.
risks it for the biscuit.
No, it's
I got 4
closed.
kids, I know.
It's sad.
Oh, it's closed.
Everything's closed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I
kind of
wonder why I have 4 kids. Condom Kingdom closed. God damn it!
And if you think about it, it used to be the textiles capital of Philadelphia. If women that wanted to sew, their big day was to go to South Street
Yeah.
because it was all textiles from
Yeah.
Broad Street all the way down to the river. And but when I was there, that was just a rumor. It had already changed. Zipperhead, your punk rockers were walking around
Yeah.
everywhere. It was a great time to be doing this. And we were the 3rd shop in all of Philadelphia. You had Harry's, you had Eddie's, and you had me and Johnny on 3rd Street.
Damn.
And so you could be completely ignorant, drunk, whatever you wanted to be towards people, and they would come in your shop and you didn't give a shit because another 300 are coming tomorrow. And you had no competition. There was no,
Steady.
yeah. So I did everything the wrong way back then in there. Me
Oh,
and
the
Johnny.
Delco Live story.
Yeah, it was a mad free for all for those 3 years. And then I left there and went, at the end of the lease.
Yeah.
We had to go. So I went down to North Carolina for a few months, tattooed Marines outside Camp Lejeune,
Okay.
which makes me wonder if I can get in on that.
I think
that
you
whole
can. I
water
think you can.
thing,
I'll
'cause
forward you some of the emails.
The
I
mustard
was
gas
there.
thing,
I was there, which was a weird thing because you would work. There were 7 tattoo shops down there in Camp Lejeune, Jacksonville, North Carolina. The Marines get paid once every 2 weeks.
Mhm.
So you're sitting in your studio with, say, us 4 are all working on
13
spot.
days of just like, man.
These Marines come running in and say, "How many in line?" And literally, we're all working on people, and there's 3 or 4 guys here, and you tell them there's 5 in line, 4 in line, and they would go to the next shop, and whoever had the shortest line is where they would then get in line.
Yeah.
So you worked like nonstop for 3 days in a row, then they're all dead broke because what they didn't spend in a tattoo shop,
and
the
hookers.
Flamingo Star was next
Oh,
door.
Ah,
The Flamingo Star with these Filipino hookers
Ah,
that were dancers, but they really just looked like all young boys hiding their penises dancing. It was very, very weird place, but they got all the rest of the money out of these guys. So from there, I went down
love
to
you a long
Florida for
time.
a year, tattooed, worked on a shark boat.
tattooed sharks.
I did tattoo sharks and people, but it was a great time because I got to spend time with a tattoo legend, a guy named Paul Rogers, and I stayed with him for a week, and he made me 2 tattoo machines, which I still have to this day, and they're worth like $5,000 a piece now because he died that year in 1988. But he
Oh,
was,
wow.
Dude was 82 years old, but he handmade tattoo machines, and back then they were $500. And but dude was an amazing legend in the business. So it's like I made positive use of my time wherever I went. I still try to as well. But
I've heard his name before on it.
yeah,
You've mentioned it before because I remember going like, "Oh, the guy from the guy from Bad Company, and they're like, no, he's a tattoo artist.
Exactly.
Like, I remember the name. I vividly remember going.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, I didn't know he's a tattoo
He was a
artist.
guy
Yeah.
who started tattooing in the teens, the 1915s. You know, like
World War One fucking veterans.
Yo,
dude
was a he worked in a
The
carnival.
original selling pictures.
He worked in a carnival, and that's where he met his wife. But like, he had a picture of himself standing at the very top doing a handstand of 17 chairs. He would stack them, and then his wife would throw the next chair. He would take it, stack it, and get up on there.
Oh
and
my
she would throw the next
goodness.
chair. And
They
then
do
he
that
would-
at the Sixers game.
yeah,
The Russian guy.
yeah. So he did it, and he doing a handstand. So, but at this point in time, he was 82, and he had all his pill bottles. And but he showed me the picture. But
Yeah.
one of the top 10 humans I ever met in life, because he was one of 8 children
Okay.
in West Virginia, and a carnival came through town, and there was a tattoo guy in there, and this guy was 14 at the time,
Oh, jeez.
and he was hanging by the tattoo guy, and the tattoo guy said to him, "If you help me out for the next 3 days, I'll give you a tattoo." And at the end of the 3 days, the guy did his tattoo, and he said, "I'm coming with you." And he was 14, and he left with the fucking carnival,
That's the way to do it.
and was gone, and didn't come home for like 10 years. He told me in 1929 he bought a brand new Harley Davidson.
And then the stock market
He was
crashed.
he was the only guy that could afford one. He said the only people I could ride with were cops, because
Yeah.
they had bikes that were provided to them by the
Ah.
police departments. But he said nobody had money for a Harley. He goes, but I did. You know, but the guy was a mid. He just stayed physically fit. At 82, he could still do a handstand. He could still get on a bicycle. He swore the bicycle was the greatest exercise tool ever made. Just an awesome guy.
Yeah, as you can tell, exercise tools aren't really our thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bicycles actually make an audible sound when I sit on them.
Yeah, like get off.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get this laundry off of me.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the ones that stay in the house with laundry.
Kill me.
Yeah.
So anyway, I came back to Philadelphia after my tours down there and opened a shop. Johnny was out of his mind at this point in time. In my absence, he had gotten this shop on Snyder Avenue that was like a walk down. Okay, like if a
Okay.
car parked in front of the place, you couldn't see it.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So on the corner of that walk down was this excellent building that was a walk up. And I was like, I'd look at it every day and I'm like, man, we need to be in that place. So I'm talking to these neighbors and like, oh, that old guy, he's a printer. He's got a shop down the way. So I got and talked to the guy and I said, what do you want the story? He's, I got a couple girls. They're going to open a hair salon in there. I said, really, how much are they going to give you? He says, oh, they're going to give me $325 a month rent. I said, how about I give you $400? And he says, you know, these women shouldn't be in business for themselves. I'll take that.
Sure. Why not?
Interesting guy. He had a print shop in South Philly, World War II veteran. He printed maps during the war. Lived in Upper Darby. They had bought him and his wife bought a brand new home in Springfield, right on Providence Road over here.
Mhm.
And he goes, she didn't like the big house, so we got a twin in Upper Darby, and they rented the house out in Springfield.
Holy shit.
Yeah, really backwards.
Never heard a wife go, nah, the house is too big.
We need
Yeah.
to get back to UFD.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, he lived there till he died, actually. But I stayed in South Philly, and in '95, I decided I wanted to come to Delco because I was living at the time. I built a house in Newtown Square, and it was 22 miles each way. from
Yeah. It adds up.
there to South Philly, and it's like by the time you got to the airport, this whole face change comes over you because you're getting ready to like, where am I going to park this fucking truck?
Yeah, right,
When I
yeah.
get down there, and what guy's going to give me a hard time? And believe me, somebody got hit every day. I was in business down there because they just fuck with you. And yeah, you got to a point where I was tired of this behavior. You know, it's like the people are assholes, and parking's a pain in the ass. And
So I go to Delco.
so I'm
Parking's
from
better.
here. Let me open here, and I shoot for the ground, and I go to buy a place in Morton, and the Morton people have a problem with it.
Is that Springfield technically? Like Springfield
No,
Township?
it's still Morton.
That's
Morton has
hardcore
its
Morton.
own entity.
Okay.
They just got their
Well, I
own.
didn't know with businesses and stuff like that if it was under them or not.
No school district.
School district. Okay.
It's no Rutledge across the street.
Yeah.
But so
Fun
anyway,
fact, Rutledge is the name of
Abraham
And-
Lincoln's mistress.
yes,
Yeah.
his mistress Ann Rutledge. I
Yeah.
passed the sign.
His underage mistress.
his underage side piece.
Yeah.
Figure that
Just
one
because you blew Abe Lincoln, you get a fucking memory on
In
what is that?
Delco.
That's Morton Avenue.
Yeah, it's off Morton Ave. Yep.
Yeah.
I literally can't believe that backstory, but it's so true.
It really
It
is.
fits
the truth.
Delco so much.
Yeah.
Like in the fucking like So Abe Lincoln, got shot
She's
in
right next to
1865.
chlamydia.
Yeah.
And
And then in like 1880, they're like, we have a new town here outside part of Ridley. What should we name it? They're like, name it after a side piece.
Yep.
It'd be like naming it Monica Lewinsky,
Yeah.
land
Yeah,
or some shit.
she should
Like,
get her
yeah,
own county. That whore.
right.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, yeah.
Listen,
the mayor should have to wear the dress.
Listen, Aaron Rutledge is getting real pissed off. Prez, what do you want to do? All right, just give her name that little town in Delco after. We'll be fine. We'll be
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, I would love to know the real story on that.
Yeah. I mean, listen, the getting must have been good if you're getting even a small town name after you.
Yeah,
I mean-
well, that could have been a big town back then. Who knows?
Yeah.
I love Rutledge. All 400 square feet.
All
of it.
3 blocks.
Yeah.
All 3 blocks. Yeah.
So anyway, I'm trying to set up shop in this little town here, and
This is 1995 that
This
you were
is
trying to make it
95.
happen. Okay.
and by some misfortune of mine, I am arrested for beating up and kidnapping some other tattoo guy.
It happens.
Yeah, it happened. Well, see, but it didn't happen. But this guy made this shit up, and I was going to court to open this tattoo shop in Morton. So the paper the next day, there's a picture of me handcuffed, my hands behind my back. I'm on the front page. Cops stick at the tattoo man, and this whole story about how I'm this and that, and this guy beat up that guy, and long and the short of it is the town's freaking out. The guy is an Irish illegal immigrant who owns the property, and he lights the place on fire. I have an agreement of sale. I go to the fire, and the guy apologizes to me and says, "I'm really sorry," and hands me my deposit back right there at the burning building. And I'm like,
Still smoldering.
still like the fire people are still there, and
Yeah.
it's like you can't make this shit up. And I'm looking at
You
it.
can.
I'm like,
I mean, I'm going to
yeah,
believe you.
I could, but I didn't. So I'm like, all right, I've already been done arrested, been on the front page of the paper, had stories because I had like a grassroots following going on in the paper.
Okay.
Delco Daily Times was behind me. Gil Spencer, not so much, but other people were like, "Hooray for the tattoo guy!" And seriously, it was a great thing. And then bang, you're arrested for kidnapping somebody, and cops stick a tattoo man, and then they light your place on fire.
Story as old as time. Story as old as time.
Oh,
Yeah. So I just gathered myself up mentally and went back down to
What a
South
week.
Philly. Yeah.
What a fucking week,
Yeah.
dude.
So I went down to South
Why did I
Philly.
leave Philly again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I redid my shop down there. And a year later, a buddy of mine calls me up. Buddy of mine, Danny Petruzzo, Clifton guy. And he says, "Hey, you'll never guess who passed a tattoo ordinance." I says, "You're right, Dan. I'll never guess. So
Yeah.
tell me." He says, "Ridley." I says, "Ridley?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Get the paper." So I get the paper. And a guy that sat on the board, one of the Catanias, another Delco legend,
Yeah.
sat on Morton's board. And he thought, well, how do we prevent these tattoo scum from ever opening in our town?
Sumner Ridley.
Well, we'll create an ordinance that'll keep them out, except the ordinance was my ticket in.
Oh, really?
Absolutely. Because once you say, if you want to do something, and here's all the rules on what you have to do it,
Yeah.
you now have a playbook.
You
Yeah,
have a
sure.
criteria to do it.
So I
yeah.
went and saw my lawyer. And according to these,
Was it the same lawyer as the kidnapping person?
no,
You got
no,
multiple
this was a
lawyers.
civil attorney.
I would use David Archer.
I
David
used
Archeri.
John. No, I would have used David
That's
Archeri.
a good one.
Except he only has one cherry in his thing there. Should have two.
Mm-hmm.
But
You're right, for the
But-
equal justice.
exactly. Yeah, it's like
I
all right,
agree.
the cherry is full all down.
Yeah,
So
you're right.
I used John List, who was actually another Delco legend. So I had my lawyer contact Ridley and asked their hearing board solicitor and their township solicitor the same question. I have a client interested in opening a studio. Where would it be allowed? And they both replied, Zone C. Okay, so I look at the real estate listings. What's for sale in Zone C? And I forget what the other place was, but the place I currently own was listed for sale. So I went and bought the building without any permission to open. And then I applied because you can't open a business
Yeah.
legally without either having a lease for
Yeah,
a building
Yeah,
or owning
which
the
makes
building.
no sense because then if you don't get your business, then
Exactly.
We
So
weren't even
I,
allowed to file for a permit for an without listing our license
Yeah,
or
you,
address
you
here.
should have seen what I had to go through Upper Darby just to have a studio here.
yeah, and then they want to know why nobody wants to do business here.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I did the filings, And right away, they were trying to deny me. And they said, well, we'll have a hearing about that. And I went to court or had a hearing, and there was like 300 townspeople show up.
Wow.
Pitchfork and torch brigade.
Really?
You know, and they're just crazy, and they're in the back room.
This
And
is
they're
just
all
like when Springfield they tried opening a Hooters in Springfield.
yeah.
Seriously.
Listen,
True
you'd have
facts.
thought I was opening an abortion clinic, and
This is the same kind of outrage. that
Actually,
we've heard
you can open them
the-
very easily, believe it or not.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, it's actually harder to open a nail salon, but so the people all had to sit down, and when they asked questions, they had to stand up. So mob mentality is great when you're standing in a mob,
Right.
Yeah.
but when your mob is told to sit down and you have to stand up one at a time, well, nobody's good at public speaking other than me and Holbrook here,
Yeah.
and
And April. She's
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
good at everything.
yeah, fortunately, you know, none of these were the types of people, because I had a woman stand up and say, I live on, of all places, Rutledge Avenue.
There you
She
go.
says-
Hello, Rutledge Avenue. This is going to destroy
Yeah.
my life.
and she says,
We were named after Abraham Lincoln's fuck piece. How dare you disgrace our town? She gave the greatest wooden teeth domers that anyone in 1883 could, or 1862
Yes.
could have given.
we can't top it with a tattoo studio.
Think about the history and the children.
So she stands up and she says, I have two young children, and I'm just concerned that they could be walking by your tattoo studio and somebody will come out with tattoo muscles and hit one of them. And I, you know,
Wait,
tattoo muscles. Yeah.
Is that
So
a thing?
so I
Oh.
laughed and I said, ma'am, I said, listen, I said, I think you're talking about beer muscles.
Yeah.
Okay. I said, I don't tattoo anybody. It's drinking. I said, but I'd be more concerned about the Wawa up the street that sells rolling papers to people that smoke angel dust.
Yeah.
Oh, murmur goes through the
Oh,
crowd.
good old Angel.
Yeah,
Dust.
good old angel dust.
Haven't heard that in a while.
Yeah. Well, go to Aston. But so anyway,
SRIs again.
yeah, well, it was a couple more
Asked in the mail.
questions, and I was crushing these people with answers. And finally, some old timer commissioner guy says, "I've heard enough, and I want to know what you think you're doing." And, rah, rah, rah. And I said, "Excuse me," and I forget the guy's name, but I said, "Didn't you fight in World War II?" He says, "I surely did, and I'm damn proud of it." And I says,
He's got a tattoo, I guess.
"Yeah,
Of course.
But I said to him, I said, "Didn't you fight for our rights?"
Yeah.
I said, "I'm a homeowner. I have a wife. I'm here to start a business. I own this building. I'm here to increase your town." I said, "When people come to my store, they're going to go to the Arby's," which was an Arby's then, now it's X, across the street. Or, and like now, next door to me is Sounds at Tri-State. Or you can go over there and spend money there while you're here because you got familiar with my area.
Mm-hmm.
My business brings money to your town, whether you like it or not." And he didn't like it, but he had to be quiet. And I had to wait 30 days for
It's
the
'cause you
response.
had tattoo muscles and he was scared.
It was my tattoo muscles.
Did
Yeah.
you bring rolling
You should've,
papers
like-
too?
You should have like tattooed muscle prints on you. Be like, wait, these tattoo
Yeah, it
muscles?
was, she was, I can still hear her.
So make him take his shirt off.
Her mousy little
I don't know. I
voice.
kind of want him to.
Yeah. So only if Ann Rutledge will appear.
Yeah.
Can we bring forth the ghost
Nothing
of Ann
like an
Rutledge?
1812 hand job.
A charcoal written.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, he's thinking of doing his homework on the back of the shovel, smacking Ann on the ass with it.
Nothing,
Yeah.
nothing like Thursday Night Delights with by candlelight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's always good.
Yes. I cannot lie.
Yeah,
No,
I
that was
cannot-
George Washington. God
Yeah.
only knows who blew him, but I
Yeah.
think her name was Manassas, Virginia.
Now I know what those 4 scores were.
Yeah.
One of them was Ann Rutledge.
Yeah. So anyway, it was 1995, and they approved me, and we've been open.
Story. It was 1995.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't.
Yeah,
like,
but you know what? Back in the mid '90s, that's when they were blaming video games and rock music and everything for everybody else's problems.
And
And
me.
we've come, yeah, in our city, and they come back. They come back. It's coming back around again. Like it's like 20 years later. Here we are again, or 30 years. I'm sorry, 30 years later, and here we are again. We're going back to blaming everything but the problem at hand. If your kid's walking by and getting in trouble, it's not like you get, oh shit, I tattooed it by accident. When you
Yeah,
walk by. Like,
yeah.
I mean, like, what's
Hey,
going to happen?
At you. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I realized I was at
Don't talk
Rutledge,
about
so I
you.
made this girl give me a blowjob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jerry Springer is making women look bad. Sign from Ann Rutledge.
Yeah. That's the thing is like back in the 90s, he's not wrong. Everything at that
Smash
time,
piece
they-
of the. first of the 18th president.
16th.
16th.
Yeah, get your shit right.
It's right off
man.
Maryland.
Talk about- you didn't ask me the obscure
I
fact.
don't know what
There
she
you
was doing.
go.
I don't
yeah.
know what she was doing to Grant or whoever 18
Is
was.
that, is that off Marilyn Monroe Boulevard or
Monica Lewinsky Drive.
yeah,
Yeah.
Monica-
Or James Dean's Alley.
Yeah. So it was the 90s.
it's right
So-
by Lorena Bobbitt's cul-de-sac.
Oh, God almighty, I don't want to get down that road.
Oh.
Talking about the 90s, so there you go.
Yeah. Just keep your super.
I still
glue with
remember
you.
my parents trying to explain that one to me.
Yeah.
So wait a minute,
Yeah.
she chopped his wiener off that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they threw it a couple blocks away
Yeah.
and they found a dog chewing on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't she super glue it first?
Hmm.
I forget.
Somebody
she
got super
did.
glued, I think.
I actually remember exactly where it was when my dad told me.
Yes.
that.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I do remember too, because the car came driving by and his dick came flying out the window. I was like,
Hit me on the side of the face.
how do you forget it? We take a dick to the chin.
Curse you, Ann Rutledge.
I thought it was a Twinkie, so of course I tasted it. And I said, "Oh no, that's dick."
I believe it came flying out of a white Bronco in the 90s.
I actually learned it from a Weird Al song.
Wow. I've actually tattooed Weird Al's signature. A guy was at a concert and he had Weird Al write his name on his leg, and I tattooed it.
Tell me more.
And then he went
love
to
hating
another
this guy
concert
already.
and showed Al the tattoo.
And what'd he say?
He said, "That's
He took
fucking
a restraining
cool."
order. Out.
I told you should have him sign your other leg and come back.
Yeah, right.
The hell? Why stop now?
Of course, it was a Weird Al. The most random thing I can whip out.
Wait,
I love
wasn't
it.
there a movie?
Besides a random cut off dick?
Isn't there a
flying out.
movie about Weird Al? Is it like
There is.
Spectacular.
Daniel Radcliffe or something?
Spectacular.
Is it good? Did you see
I
it?
thought it was good.
Entertaining as fuck.
I had to watch that.
Except it was we were on vacation in Pittsburgh at a car race thing, and we were at a great Airbnb house, and that came on, and I watched that show, and it was good.
It's
Go
fucking
check that out.
Yeah.
hilarious. It is stupid. It is everything you'd want out of a Weird Al movie.
It was-
starring Daniel Radcliffe.
How many Daniel or Weird Al movies are there?
There's UHF. There's that. There's Spy Hard.
Oh my God!
There might be another one.
Wait, Spy Hard was that him?
He's in it.
Okay.
So are you aware of Dr. Demento?
I am aware of him. He was before my time, but
Wow.
It's my
I know
pediatrician.
all of him and all
In
that
the
stuff.
RC hoarding collection in my barn, I have a box full of reel-to-reel tapes. They were the ones
Holy
that
shit.
they would go to Westwood, from Westwood One Radio to all
Yeah.
the. I have like 50 of his 1 hour segments.
You have a whole collection like antique shop little thing that you got going on?
Dude, I have like a crazy barn full of stuff
Been in that bar.
Near RCs or like at your place?
at my house.
Oh, okay.
It's called RC's Barn.
Love it.
Yeah. No, it's
So
it was haunted at one time.
Episode 2 with RC will be at the barn.
Yeah.
We'll be on location at the barn.
The barn. I love the barn.
So you've been there you're coming up on your 30th year in Ridley next year.
Next year.
Wow. Yeah.
Or sorry, 2 years.
He
from
just
now,
made me
it's
feel
96,
old.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess so. It's been a breeze.
My face makes me feel old. That's kind of what it does for me.
Yeah.
That and my blood work tends to make me
So
feel
I'm
real
sure
old.
every show you've ever gone on to do. Well, number one.
This
before
is
we
his
get
probably
to
his
it-
number one favorite radio show he's
No,
ever been
it's
on.
definitely not because are you still a regular on Preston and Steve?
No, I stopped doing Preston and Steve
After the
several
cursing
years
incident.
back. Yeah, no, not after the cursing incident. No, that was I was knee deep in it. But
You
Wait,
have-
are you the one who did the taint tattoo?
yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
And that was on another Delco kid.
That was Casey Boy, right?
No, it was Casey Boy actually.
Oh
did
no,
it.
that was
Wait, his intern Joe.
Joe, which I knew his father. I actually was friends with his father. He didn't tell me until later that was his son.
They still used the scream.
Yeah, that's his scream they used.
It's like that. Yeah, yeah. It was pretty
He had a
funny.
funky last name. I forget what it was. But yeah,
I forget it too, but
it was a Y.
God, we tortured that poor guy.
So you were a regular there
Yes,
once a month,
every week,
every week?
every Tuesday for like 12 years. I did that show.
Shit. I love them. I just had a spell where I worked a job where I couldn't listen to them in the morning, and you would go on and you would tell stories about.
I would tattoo people on the air. Preston and Steve listeners would come in. So what happened was that they called me. So when they were at Y100,
First
Yeah.
mistake.
okay, that's how I first met them.
Delco.
Casey was an intern there.
Yeah, that's the one by the Grand Run Mall, right?
Yeah,
That's when I was up
yep.
there, yep.
It's a Harley dealership now. or
No,
at least
before
next
it's
to it.
before the
That's
Harley
a dentist.
dealership.
It's a dentistry or
Yeah.
It is
yeah.
the
Dentist.
dentist's
Yep.
office. Yeah.
So the Flyers were playing against the Devils in the cup, and they got the great
wow,
idea of doing flyers tattoos on people. So Casey Boy told Marilyn Russell, who was also on the show then, it was
Yeah.
called PMS, was the show.
Yeah.
And she called me and said, would you be willing to come and do tattoos, on the radio? I said, sure. So I went there and I got to know them guys, and I tattooed flyers, emblems on listeners. And that's how I got to know Preston and Steve. The flyers were swept in 4 days. So it was
I was going to say that.
it was a short
Did
gig.
anybody get that? Like, I'm going to get they won the championship tattoo before they won the championship tattoo?
Yeah, we get like 1998. Like
We've done
Stanley
that.
Cup
We've
champions.
actually done that, man. People
Well, let me
came-
ask you that question because there will be a second episode with you on here. I'm just going to point this out here because in April you got to come back because you won't shut up.
She's been good. It's just we haven't really directed anything her
Nope.
way.
Nope.
Yeah.
Well, we were talking about the dog and the bite and the picture of the dog, and it came like full circle. What we have to ask the crazy question? What is the most? Did you ever talk somebody out of a certain tattoo? Did you ever say no? Don't do this.
Man,
I just did recently.
Oh,
yeah?
really?
Yeah.
Tell us.
It was a guy and a girl. He was 19 years old, and she was covered in tattoos, and it was his first tattoo.
Okay.
And he wanted a matching tattoo of hers under his eye. for
First tattoo under the eye. That's
his
bold.
very first tattoo.
Bold.
He was 19 years old. It was, I think it was 2 or 3 Z's under his eye.
So his eyes sleeping.
I didn't.
That's
But
weird.
everyone in the studio refused to do it.
Yeah, what were the Z's for if they
I
weren't
have
for
no
sleeping?
idea.
Is her initial? Is her name?
yeah,
like
it
Zoe
probably had a
Zacharias or
D in
something?
front of it, so it's a DZs. I don't know. It was,
He was fairly upset. but
Gummy.
I told
yeah.
him I didn't want to ruin his life, so I didn't put
Good for
Z's under
you.
his eye.
I had
He
a
was 19.
It's funny.
Yeah.
I was not saying it, but I had a friend whose brother's a jerk off. Let's throw it at that. Okay.
we all do.
Who he's a good friend of mine though, but he's still a jerk off. He knows that. And he wanted a vasectomy at age 19. And they wouldn't do it because like you're too young, you may change your mind, we don't want to do it. So he went back at like 22, 23. No, still too young. By 23, 25, he went in there with 10 letters from one of each from us, his other brother, me, his other brother's mother, his father. Please give this kid a vasectomy.
He had references.
We don't want to have children.
If
Wow.
the guy with the Z's came in with references, would you have been like, oh, I don't know. All right.
No.
All right, so I'll give you a better one than that.
Okay.
John Eleuthère Dupont.
Okay.
You
Wait,
remember
the
him?
John DuPont, the murderer?
The John Eleuthère
Big
Dupont.
murderer.
While I was living in Newtown Square,
Was he
Oh, near
wrestling?
Foxcatcher.
he lived right. I lived right by Foxcatcher, so he wanted to be castrated and couldn't
Oh,
get
yeah.
a
Oh,
doctor.
I thought he went to you and asked.
No, come
I was
on,
gonna say,
man.
wow,
I
so
he
mean,
tattooed-
look,
He
I'm
does
tattooed
understand
half a penis
tattoos.
on him.
yeah, I'm a little crazy, but yeah, I don't
No
know.
wonder he
For the
killed
right
him.
amount of
I
money,
mean-
he actually could have paid me to castrate him.
Yeah.
I mean, you
But,
could have. I got a
yeah.
rusty saw on time. Let's do this.
Well, it was just as bad because he couldn't get anybody to castrate him.
Mhm.
And on his property is a pond. And John took his Cadillac, okay, pulls up to the pond and pulls his pants down, whips out his pocket knife, and cuts his own balls off,
Jesus.
throws them in the pond, and then drives the car in there, okay,
Yeah.
and then cries for help. The police come. What happened, John? Well, I
I made
crashed.
a wrong turn. My
Yeah.
balls fell off.
Basically, his excuse was that he drove into the pond and he had a pocket knife in his pocket and that it inadvertently cut his testicles off. And all I kept thinking about
Okay,
is,
God.
is there some largemouth bass walking
Yeah,
around
yeah.
or swimming around
I mean,
with
if you wanna get
John's
his
balls in his mouth?
Maybe if he wanted his balls cut off, why just get married?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just been a lot easier.
That guy, apparently, he was married.
Yeah, wasn't he?
Yes.
Sorry,
his
honey.
relative.
My wife's listening, probably.
Yeah,
She'll be listening at that point,
exactly.
so I know.
Yeah.
Sorry, she's heard that joke before.
Yeah. Yeah. So, anyway.
I thought you were going to say, like, he closed his balls in the car door and let it roll into the pond.
No.
That's one way to do it.
And he still killed people after
Well,
removing his
who would've
testicles.
thought?
Yeah. Your testosterone level has really dropped. And
His testosterone went down, but his car insurance rates went up.
who'd have
Get
thought?
anyone
What
mad.
was the most, that's the most, like,
Obscure Delco fact that
you-
nobody
yes,
knows.
yes.
you live on a farm.
Yes.
You live on a farm. Couldn't you fall on a piece of metal equipment or something and your balls
It
fall
was
off?
metal equipment if you think about it.
Yeah, well, it just seems a lot. And a pocket knife.
Yeah.
Shit. Like, couldn't you find like a
Oh,
machete where it's one
man.
swipe, take them both off, going? Like, if you get the saw through that, like, I don't like
Yeah.
a graphic, but like, that doesn't sound like it was really easily done.
Yeah. I don't know.
Did he use the little scissors?
What
in the
a waste of
pocket?
it. Dude,
Swiss Army knife.
How
you tried
sharp
them
was
all.
that knife? I mean, was it a Barlow? Was it
Yeah,
an old
like,
Yeller? I mean, what kind of
geez.
blade was that?
What a waste of
It was a
Cadillac.
spork.
Yeah.
It was a
Oh,
spork.
a sport. Yeah. A plastic one from Springfield Junior High.
Yeah, right.
It was. I was forced to use them as a child.
Thankfully, everything worked out for John DuPont.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So was
yes.
I. My camp counselor really liked.
I never saw Foxcatcher. Did they put that in there? No, like the movie with Steve Carell. that was
I
on
wanna-
there.
I
Yeah.
want to watch it.
I'll give you another obscure Delco DuPont fact, and that is his house on that property.
Right next to a wedding venue. I know
Okay.
that right now.
The house was a brick by brick replica of Thomas Jefferson's home, Monticello.
Okay.
His father in 1900 sent 2 architects and an engineer down to Virginia, and they measured every square foot of that place and replicated it in Newtown Square, sitting in the middle of 850 acres.
That's crazy.
And they said, I need that Jefferson ball cutting
Yeah.
pond.
Yes. Yes. If only Ann Rutledge could rise
Yes.
up with her wooden
Yeah,
choppers.
Yeah. Just like moving the ball.
What am I to gobble, my dear sir?
Yeah, so we got that going for us.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
for those watching, again, because if you don't know where to find them, where do they find you, RC?
I'm at 1410 East MacDade Boulevard, right on the next to the Folsom Post Office.
Yeah.
You
And
got Sounds at Tri-State is on the other corner.
Down
Across the
from
street is
Emilio's.
nothing.
Emilio.
Yeah, Emilio's Pizza. My that's where we're at like
We
3
love
times a week.
Emilio's.
And what's the
Yep.
best way of calling and making an appointment or getting in touch with you guys? Just calling. what?
Just call 610-534-1369.
Okay.
That's my number. And we're on Instagram and Facebook,
Okay.
RC Tattoos or Tattoos by RC.
I think the next step we have to talk about is getting. I'm 41 years old. I have a lot of things, but one of them is not a tattoo.
Well, Al's last name is Zafiri, and he has 2 kids, so he wants ZZZ.
ZZZ, yeah.
I have 4 kids.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I was just saying.
Yeah.
It'd be the same
Yeah.
thing.
We're
Yeah.
Z.
But it's fine. I'll write some references for him.
Yeah, I'll get references.
Yeah. That
April's
would be-
still gonna look at me and be like, "Sorry, young sir." Now.
Can't
That
do
would be
it,
great.
sorry.
I want a way too erotic tattoo of Ann Rutledge watching John DuPont cutting his balls off in a pond.
You get that across my back.
Yeah, that would be.
And underneath it says
That'd be
sponsored by
pretty
Cadillac.
Yeah.
Epic tattoo.
Ann Rutledge. We must learn more about her.
Well, RC, I want to know. 'Cause I'm gonna put you on the spot. You coming back on again, right?
Absolutely,
All
sure.
right. April, you coming?
I'm here.
All right.
I,
well,
I just had an epiphany of coming to God.
guys,
moment.
it's on video. He can't take it back.
I saw Hamilton on Broadway over the weekend, and I'm like, oh
Did
my
he
god,
cut
they
his
just
balls
made
in that too?
no. I was like,
Oh.
they just made like this crazy epic Broadway musical about a kind of obscure historical figure, Ann Rutledge the musical.
Yeah, dude.
The Delco musical right there.
Yeah.
And we
They're
got
gonna
our,
direct
our
it.
friends over
Yes.
at the Hedgerow Theater. They can put it on.
Yes, I'll write the soundtrack, dude. We got
Yeah.
this.
I'll write the word.
I'll give you another obscure fact.
Baby, baby.
I know these people that wrote a musical about Romy and Michelle's.
High school
yeah,
music,
yeah,
high school reunion.
Yes.
Mary Michelle's, yeah.
They've put together an entire musical, and they're
They actually did the music for
Orange is the New Black.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and
So
they're,
it is a
so
legit
they're,
thing.
they're Delco. Their grandparents are from Springfield, of course, from where I grew up. But yeah, they actually did the whole musical for
Romy and Michelle.
Michelle's.
Wasn't it like their key thing? Like they went back to school and they did the high school reunion and like they said they both invented the post-it notes. One was the paper,
Yes.
one was
Yes.
the sticky.
yeah. Dude, that movie's fucking great, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, great enough that somebody thought to make a musical out of it. So,
I love it.
So I'm all for the Ann Rutledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be a Netflix, straight to Netflix, probably.
Big
Then
fan.
the
I mean,
Hulu.
Amazon Prime, you can put
Next
almost
project.
anything on there.
Yes.
Just saying, as a person who's watched the most obscure. Let me tell you something. Amazon Prime movies, you can go down a hole. Like like Killer Bong, great movie,
Zombievers.
great movie.
Zombievers.
Yeah, Zombievers. That was Netflix. That was that Amazon Prime or was that Netflix?
I don't know. I watched it. It was fucking spectacular.
Oh
man.
my God,
Everything
it was great.
promised.
You know how much
Zombie.
better the Foxcatcher movie would have been if they
If he cut his
included
balls.
his
See, yes,
pond
like-
incident?
Yeah.
And you would have got a
Fox.
zany Steve Carell moment that everybody wanted to see in that movie, but they didn't.
That
get.
would have been so epic.
So, like, I've never seen the movie, but
You've
I
never
want to
seen
know if so. It wasn't in there. I want.
It wasn't. No.
See,
These are the
Does
things
it
that
have-
I know because I lived out there.
Yeah.
Does he have like one scene? Like now he doesn't have balls. Now he had balls, but now he doesn't have.
Do you
balls.
know they actually let that guy drive around with a police uniform a gun, a badge, because he built a police shooting range on his property.
Oh,
So the cops could all come and shoot there. So John got a badge, and he had a little light that he put up on his dashboard. He would actually pull people over in his Cadillac on Westchester Pike.
have you seen these balls?
Yeah, they quickly he was disbanded from the police department after the killing. But I mean,
darn.
it's like, yeah, come
Usually
on,
that's
man.
usually that's a linchpin right
You
there.
didn't
What,
know?
he had
Yeah.
tattoo muscles and was too crass.
Yeah,
I still love that. That's my new term. Tattoo
tattoo muscles. Yeah, I mean, he had a fucking tank, for Christ's sakes. This guy had so much
yeah.
shit there, and they all know it. It's like the one we're talking about.
Wouldn't that have been easier to remove your balls with a tank than a pocket knife?
That would have been much
Just
cooler.
saying.
It's too hard to explain to your insurance company.
Yeah.
That would've made the
Yeah.
news. That would've made the
Balls
news.
fell off
Yes,
due to
that
tank
would be
issue.
fine.
Well,
Nobody's
the-
asking questions.
The doctors had to sew him up this time. That was his whole thing.
Oh, Jesus.
I'll do the removal. It's like, okay, listen, if I drain the oil, sir, could you put the plug back in
He
and
was thinking Bon Jovi
fill it up
halfway
properly?
there.
I can see all the cops going, I'm not putting any pressure on that area.
Yeah,
I'm not doing it. I'm not paid enough for this.
that
I'm a
had to
civil
be a
servant.
bloody mess.
Oh, my God.
It had to take balls.
Yeah, 2 to be exact.
On that note,
Yes.
we're going to end on that note, but we will have RC and April back in studio
was
sooner than you guys think. Thank you guys for joining us. Check
Thank
them
you.
out. RC's tattoo is a Delco staple. And will be Big Al's
Just
first
like
tattoo.
a staples right to your cutoff ball sack.
Yes.
Staple.
Just like a staple in the centerfold of a magazine.